You lose something to New York and don't come back.
Lost dog. Please call. We miss her. Name is Kirby. Has one eye plus red harness.
Lost backpack. Valuable contents. 2 beanie babies. And a toy dolphin. Mostly needed back. If found, please call.
Found bird. If you think it's yours, please call. This is not a picture of the actual bird, but one that looks very much like it.
There was the teeth. Well, my mother, she had 3 gold teeth, and they disappeared. She would leave them in a little dish, you know. She'd take them out, and they disappeared.
A ring, your wallet, my glasses. Who'd want my glasses? She never lost nothing. She's a school teacher.
I never lost nothing. I had laser surgery.
They say it's a snap and don't hurt, but it ain't true.
It ain't true. That's why I wear these glasses. I had laser surgery.
Well, I figured Stubby took them to sell them for the gold, you know. Now that I think about it, Stubby Langle, not Stubby Wood. Stubby Wood is the guy Fred shot in the forehead with a BB gun. But I'm pretty sure Stubby Langle had a hand in the teeth.
My first DOA, this guy had disappeared down this big elevator shaft. It was filled up with 3-4 feet of water. And the smell, it was something awful. His body had spread out all over the place. And it was my job to find all the parts and get them into the body bag. And I started to get... And the guys yelling out at me, "Hey, Lucky, how you doing?" And they're laughing. "Yo, Frankie, yo, hey!" They're laughing. You gotta laugh.
Lost picture of my father sitting in a field of daffodils. Great sentimental value. If found, please call.
Can I talk about losing a husband? I would certainly have a lot to say on that subject.
No? You don't want to hear about people? Well, sorry, honey, when you've lost as many people as I have. You don't care about material things. They simply don't matter at all.
Things I've lost in the loony bin, 1994. I've lost my toothbrush, my sweater, all my socks, my sense of humor, the plot, any sense of self-worth, the will to live.
It was tense, but I found out the experience is great. When I was 8.
When I was 17, lost my virginity. You know it really wouldn't bother me if afterward I hadn't been so mean. When I was 17.
Gone, gone missing. Gone, gone missing.
When I was 29, I lost my way. My mother thought that I was gay, but I think I was just waiting for a sign. When I was 29.
When I was 33, I lost my cool. I was 10 years out of school and as old as Jesus Christ would ever be. When I was 33.
Gone, gone missing. Gone, gone missing.
When I was 42, I lost my mind. My friends all tried to be kind, but I saw that being crazy wouldn't do. When I was 42.
When I was 61, I lost the war. I can't recall what it was for, but I remember I had never had such fun. When I was 61.
Gone.
Well, it's kind of easy. I keep blocking it out. But I think it was between 1993 and 1995. Or it was 93 or 95. And I had this scarf I had borrowed from my sister, and I'd never returned it. I love this scarf. It was an Agnes B scarf. I don't even think she knew I borrowed it. But one night, I took my girlfriend to this bar, Henrietta Hudson. I think it's on Hudson. And we had to put our things on. We put our bags and things on the pool table. But after, this big crowd came in after us. Yeah. This big crowd came in after us and took over the pool table, and one of them picked up my scarf. I mean, I don't think he did it on purpose, but heck, this softball dyke took my scarf. It really pisses me off that this beautiful scarf, I mean, it was an Agnes B scarf, fell into such uncouth hands. It gnaws at me. You know where I picture it? Balled up with a cat on it. Or worse, in an SUV, balled up with a cat on it. I hate softball. I mean, I did softball before, but I hate softball even more now.
Hi, it's Laura. I called Tom about this embarrassing issue, and now I'm calling you. I think I left one of my pumps at PS 122 last night. And I'm back in Los Angeles and can't go to the theater myself. And they're like my good shoes, and it's really embarrassing.
So do you know Laura? So, she was meeting some big TV people, and she had on this pair of black Gucci pumps and a nice skirt and everything. And after her meeting, we were all going out. And somewhere along that night, she'd lost her shoe. One of her Gucci shoes. Because she had changed at PS 122 because she felt overdressed. She thinks she left her shoe in the bathroom. But I think she actually lost that shoe later that night. Because I think they went out drinking.
Hi, it's Laura. I was really hoping that you could have secured the shoe before you left town, but apparently you have not. I've been working with Tom, and Tom has gone back to PS 122 numerous times, and I'm leaving numerous messages for the house manager, the artistic director, and the director of development to see if they've gotten their act together enough to find the shoe. I'm sending a packet of flyers to you, to Tom, to Big Daddy, and to Elizabeth. And I'm sending maps of where I'd like you to post the flyers in case, someone sees some one-legged person wearing a size 6. It'll become clear whose shoe that is and where they need to send it to Los Angeles immediately. I've started working on the flyer, and I've also started an email address. I lost my shoe at earthlink.net. I don't know if you've gone back to PS 122 or not. No one there returns my calls, and it's really depressing. But I'm hoping that the flyers will stir up some leads.
Laura sent me JPEGs of the shoe, and she wanted me to post them around PS 122. Lost black Gucci pump. But it was just a basic black pump.
My kitten? No. Someone took it. Stole it. It had a Korean name. Navi. It means butterfly. So mad at the person who took my nappy. She was my best friend, and I was always so happy to see her. I don't think I can get another cat now. I just miss her running around here.
What? Oh, the cat? No. Cat gone away. I gave it to friend. In Delhi, it ran around, made me very angry. It always in around food. No good. Now, it is in Queens with my friend. It had Korean name. Nabi. It means butterfly. So I fly away.
I'll admit I have a problem holding on to things. A sock, a book, a clock, a look, a chance. And the moment that a fella lends me his umbrella, it's just another doomed romance. I've learned to never worry about losing things. A car, a pin, a star, some gin, a bed. But then you said that we were through, and suddenly I knew there was one lost I'd regret. I've lost diamonds and pearls, love letters from Merles, and more suitors than girls usually do. But from this great list, I would have to insist that the only thing missing is you. I had Barbies, and then my mom called to mention they're all, as the French say, perdu. Even Barbie had Ken, still I'm left with Rianne, 'cause the only thing missing is you. And silly as it seems, I lost all my dreams when we said adieu. And I think now you'll find that I lose my mind when I think of you. And no one has solved the case that involved a revolver from my game of Clue. Well, I've still got the knife, so what good is my life? And with all that I've lost, no, I don't mind the cost. Think what my nephew Chris just lost at his bridge. And you'll have to admit that it's true, that the only thing missing, do you miss the kissing? The only thing missing is you.
We get a lot of DOAs. Sometimes they're badly decomposed. Sometimes they're partially mummified. If it's summertime, with the heat. I don't know why this is, but a lot of times we'll find old women, and I'm not saying anything, but we'll find old women and they'll be naked. I don't know why this is. It's just, it's summertime and it's warm. I do it. I'm sure you do too. You walk around with no clothes on. But that's just, that's not the way they want to be found.
Well, you know what? I lost my job. I lost all my money. Yeah, I had nothing left. But you don't want that, right. Only things. Okay, let's see. Like I lost a something. I'll think about it.
Se me perdió la billetera, quizás dejé en la bodega. No me hacía faltar, sino que le lleva adentro. La única foto que yo tenía de ti, la pregunté al señor de la bodega, pero él se encogió de hombros. Me vendió unos cigarrillos y un cartón de leche. ¿Te recuerdas de la noche en ese hotel cuando tú no pudiste encontrar tu bolsa y estaba esa señora extraña lo que usaba peluca y ella nos dio comida sin cobrarnos nada? Ahora te pienso cada vez que compras cerveza, pero sin tener esa foto. Olvido cómo te pareces y quizás una persona cualquiera que va a esa bodega ahora tiene tu foto y con ella mi billetera y con ella mis sueños de ti.
Could I talk about losing a husband? I would certainly have a lot to say on that subject. No. But I do have a story about losing something.
It was a silver ring with a gold buckle, and I had had it for years. It was a manly ring. It was manly. But wait, here's the thing. This is it.
My uncle saved his entire life. You know, lived through the Depression, saved old rubber bands. Well, I got my wedding gift from him, and there was this big sapphire jewel right in the middle. It was like this, surrounded on both sides by 2 small diamonds. I was like, whoa.
It was like a talisman, and I wore it for 8 or 9 years. It was a small thing, but it was big because I loved it.
When I was about 8 years old or so, this was in the 40s, I got a very special present from my mother and father. Or from Santa. That's who I thought it was at the time. Santa. What did I know? I was a kid. This was just after the Depression, so this was a very special ring. I wore it every day, never took it off.
I wore it all the time. For the last 40 years, never took it off. But I lost one of the small diamonds. It fell out. So I put it in my purse to get it fixed.
¿Te recuerdas de la noche en ese hotel cuando tú no pudiste encontrar tu bolsa y estaba esa señora extraña lo que usaba peluca y ella nos dio comida sin cobrarnos nada?
And 6 months later, I'd remember. I put that ring in that purse. But the purse just wasn't there anymore. Maybe I gave it to the Salvation Army or the women's shelter.
It went down the drain while I was in the shower, and I just didn't realize it. I remember thinking, my ring's coming off. And I could feel it slipping. But, I'm in the shower, and I think it was denial because, I'm in the shower and everything's flowing, and I'd had it for like 8 or 9 years. So honestly, how could it fall off now?
Years later, I was out with my future husband. He had taken me to a party. Well, It could have been a wedding. It could have been a party. It could have been a lot of things. The point is, I had to go to the bathroom. I asked him to hold my ring so when I washed my hands, the ring wouldn't fall down the drain. I gave it to him and I said, "Hun, hold this." I remember he put it in the breast pocket of his white shirt. After the party, we went to the park. Well, it could have been a park, it could have been a car, could have been a lot of things. The point is, we had a makeout session. So I certainly wasn't thinking about the ring then. That much, I can assure you.
You know what they say about married people? Like when they first get married, the engagement ring feels very present and the ring leaves an indentation. So the indentation was there, but no ring. And I just hadn't realized it.
This was soon after my uncle died in 2000. He was 98 and very frugal. Well, I got a nice inheritance from him, and I put the money in the stock market in 2000, and it just went.
Next day, I realized he still had the ring. Back then, you didn't just call the office like you do now. I had to wait until after 5. Well, he had already taken it to the cleaners. The cleaners didn't have it.
I looked down, saw it was gone, and thought, it must have come out from the shower. And I never saw anything like it again.
My uncle, he probably knows somehow that I've let him down, that all his money is gone, and the ring, it's just so irresponsible on my behalf. It's so sad. The irony of this frugal man saving everything, and I turn around and lose it all. The ring, 90% of his money. I feel like I've erased him. That every last bit of him has vanished.
My wallet lost itself from me. Perhaps I left it at the store. I wouldn't have missed it except that it carried with him the only photo I had of him. I asked the person at the store, but he shrugged his shoulders. He sold me some cigarettes and a carton of milk. Do you remember that night in that hotel when you couldn't find your bag? There was that strange woman, the one who wore a wig. She gave us dinner without charging us anything. Now I think of you each time I buy beer. But without having that photo, I forget what you look like. Now a person who could be anybody who goes to that store now has that photo. And with it my wallet, and with it my dreams of you.
That ring meant so much to me. I never told my parents I lost it. I just couldn't. I felt so awful, knowing what it meant for them to buy it for me. I was so ashamed. Years later, my husband bought me another pearl ring, but it wasn't as nice. First of all, it was white gold and it was set with 2 diamonds. Not as beautiful as that simple pearl ring. That was so many years ago now, but I still feel emotional about it.
Well, I lost my job. Oh, no. It was terrible. I mean, I lost everything. But you don't want that. Only things, okay? Only things. Like, I lost something. I will think about it.
Seems to me I always used to play hide and seek, and I would wait so patiently for someone to come and look for me, and I can't remember just how long I'd sit there. I'd forgotten, seems I can't hold on to anything at all. I lost the 4th grade journal and the sweatshirt that was ruined when I hid inside the closet and knocked my mother's perfume from the shelf and smelled for weeks like I was going somewhere. Seems to me I'm always losing something, spilling something, seeking something, hiding somewhere in my mother's pretty blouses, waiting till they come and find me. But they're not coming, they're not coming. So I'm waiting in the dark, feeling just like Alice Adams when she tries to throw a party but nobody comes. Seems to me I always used to play hide and seek, and I am seeking something other than whatever there is now. If I could find some sort of memory to give me some connection, and I wonder, why is no one seeking me?
Well, I didn't lose anything. But my friends found a dinette set. Table and chairs, nice, wood. You know, we were 4 guys living in the same apartment, and we would eat sitting on the couch or the end table, you know. So, with the table, we would all meet once a week to eat together at the table. No, it didn't make us any closer, you know, it just helped us eat better. We were already good friends.
A lot of times we'll be called in because the neighbors smell garbage or gas. And then we'll find the body. A lot of times pets will, you know, if a body is left decomposing. Not cats, but dogs and mice and rats. A lot of times when we have a DOA, we'll throw a book at it. And then you'll see the mice and rats run out. Eels too. If we have a DOA that's a floater, a lot of times you'll have the eels crawl into the orifices. Then when you fish the body out, you'll see the eels slither out of the body.
Are you there? It's Laura, okay? I went to Brazil, right? And I flew to Rio, and I'm taking a taxi cab from the airport to go to my hotel. And what do I find on the floor of the taxi cab? Are you sitting down? What do I find on the floor of the taxi cab? I'm not fucking kidding you. I found my shoe, okay? I lost the left shoe, left Gucci pump, and found the left Gucci pump. And I'm shaking because I feel like I'm in a time machine, black hole, sci-fi movie, like Logan's Run, because there's no way this could fucking happen at all. And then I go through my bag and notice the stuff in my bag is gone. And then it's like a Lion Witch and the wardrobe kind of thing. And I realized that the stuff that had disappeared had gone into this like crevice of my bag. It's got this weird back pocket, and the shoe fell in that pocket. And then like the bag opens, the shoe fell out, the other stuff fell in, and I'm thinking I'm in a tesseract. Wrinkle in Time. Remember that book? Madeline L'Engle. So...
Yeah, I heard that Laura found a shoe. She's been carrying it around with her the whole time. I think she thinks that's funny. I don't think that's funny.
Well, I lost my Palm Pilot.
I left my cell phone in the cab when I got out.
So this is the story of the loss of Sniffle.
Kyle! Come get this dog, it's biting my leg. It just smelly farted. Might have to go.
We were, Dad and I, and you three girls, on a car trip in Iowa. It was during Easter vacation, and we went to go visit the Amana colonies with all the Amish people living there. Right, darling, where the Amana refrigerators come from, exactly. You were in maybe 4th grade, and the twins were in 1st grade, and there was that horrible snowstorm and we were stuck in Grinnell on the way back down. And we stayed in a motel in Grinnell, and when we could finally leave the next day, the drifts were 8 feet high, and we were excited we could finally get out of god-awful Grinnell. And we're driving for about a half an hour or so, and Ingrid asked, suddenly, very worried, "Where's Sniffle?"
Yeah, well, this dog here is a Boykin Spaniel. But our first dog, Boom, was a hunting dog, chocolate lab. He was amazing at escaping. I had to build him a brick bottom pen so he wouldn't dig his way out. And I put an electric fence around the bottom perimeter. This dog would endure any amount of pain to escape. He had bloody gums and abscesses from biting through the wire. And once, I saw him reach over the fence and pull the cyclone with his teeth. And there was this blue arch going from the generator to his face for a long period of time. And he pulled on that until the wire was busted. And then he lifted it upwards so he could climb under. And then he dug a hole so he could squeeze out, sustaining a shock for at least 30 more seconds while he climbed under the wire. Well, anyway, we got a call from my sister in South Carolina saying that Boone had escaped, and they hadn't seen him for a week.
So later, I was so exhausted. I just totally spaced on my phone, you know? And I called the number later when I got home, and nothing. And I called and called and called, and I just keep getting voicemail, you know? And then finally the phone picks up, finally. And I could just hear girls talking in the background, you know? This one girl is like, "Girl, you in that stupid phone you found," or something. And I could just hear rustling and stuff because the phone was in her back pocket or something. So I started screaming. I was like, "Hey, hello, hi." You know, and I was making all this high-pitched noise so she would hear me. So I was like, "Hi, hello, this is my phone." And I'm just so fucking exhausted, dude. I'm just so fucking tired. Hello. This is my phone. And then I hear it just like rustled and it shut off. And I'm like, fuck!
Now, Sniffle was this tiny sock doll, a little doll made from a nylon anklet and stuffed with some kind of pillow filling with little ball-shaped arms and legs and a little embroidered eyes and mouth. You girls each had one. Yours was red, Allison's was yellow, and Ingrid's was light blue. Neither you or Allison were particularly attached to yours, but Ingrid loved hers, and she named him Sniffle. And we're in the car, and Sniffle has disappeared, and poor Ingrid is hysterical. And Dad guessed maybe Sniffle had been left behind in the hotel room, and we drove back to speak to the lady at the front desk.
I guess another 3 weeks passed, and I just got to the place in my heart where I knew he must be dead. So I stopped praying and asking God to bring him back. And I told the boys, and we drove the 12-hour drive back to Louisiana.
I had this image of these two girls fucking hanging out in Central Park, walking through the park in school uniforms because my phone was in their backpack. And no, they're not sexy. Just, regular school uniforms. And I mean, this image is so clear to me. And I'm like, fuck. And I call back and they don't answer.
And you girls were all huddling around Dad and me, and the lady said that everything that got left behind got thrown away in the dumpster outside in the back, and Ingrid began sobbing. And then you and Allison started to cry because you felt so sad for Ingrid, and the poor lady felt so awful. And I was trying to quiet you all down, which didn't work, of course, because you were all devastated by the loss of Sniffle. And your dad got quiet for a few seconds, and then he asked the lady if he could take a look in the dumpster outside. So I took you girls to the car. Your dad put on his ski pants and his big swirl boots, and he climbed in there. The dumpster was absolutely enormous, and every now and again you could see the top of his hat as he rummaged around in there. He must have been in there for about 20 minutes. It was absolutely freezing outside, and we kept having to wipe the windows off because it kept fogging up from our breathing.
But right when I got home, I got a call from my sister saying that somebody had found Boone.
So a couple of days later or something, I try again, and this woman answers. And I'm like, hello, this is my phone. I lost it in a cab. Please, don't hang up.
And then Dad's arm shot up above the top of the dumpster, and there was Sniffle in the palm of his hand. And Ingrid cried.
I got right back in the truck and drove another 12 hours back to South Carolina. And when I saw him, you could just see every bone in his body. He'd lost all his hair, just like a sack of bones. He didn't want to eat. But the amazing thing is that Jake, my sister's 10-year-old son, when we had all stopped praying, he didn't give up on his prayers. And he kept believing that Boone would come back. He didn't give up till he showed up.
And she was like, yeah, I just got out of this rehearsal. I'm a dancer. Do you know where Capizio's is? And I was like, I'm a dancer too. So she left it for me at Capizio's.
It turned out Sniffle was in a pile of some awful kitchen garbage or something, and covered in dark smudges. Dad didn't want Ingrid to hold Sniffle until he could wash him off, but Ingrid was desperate to hold Sniffle, and she rocked back and forth with such love.
We brought Boone back to Louisiana and got him eating again, and he lived a good life for... Now, what was it? I guess it was really close to 3 years. We didn't have a funeral. I'm not real big on that, because I don't think animals have souls. The Bible doesn't mention nothing about that. So, I don't think there will be dogs in heaven. The Bible does talk about all the magnificent creatures there are in heaven, the seraphim and angels. But I guess I see dogs as good friends we have while we're alive. And then they live on in my memory.
Oh, and the worst part of this whole story is that 2 hours after I got it from Capizio's,
I was fucking running up the stairs, and I tripped. And fucking cracked the whole phone. It was in my pocket, and my hip landed on it and broke it. And I had that huge fucking bruise. Ugh!
And your father was all covered in coffee grounds and all sorts of horrendous stuff. But it was a beautiful experience when I look back on it now. Of course, back then it was probably smelly and exhausting and stressful. But I still remember the look on Ingrid's face, all red and swollen from tears. Would you like another glass of wine, darling?
I lost my Palm Pilot running from World Trade. I work at Battery Park Authority and World Trade at night. When the first plane hit, my boss, he said, "Go secure the area for the Secret Service coming." I was checking IDs and, secure the area for the Secret Service coming with a helicopter to go and land in the field. So I rode my bike to the baseball field, and the Palm Pilot, it must have fallen out of my pocket. When the first building fell, I see the cloud coming. And we could see below it, but not above level. So we fall on the ground. And when we get up, we all covered like ghosts. So I grab a hose and spray my face and my head. I was in charge of the field, so I knew where everything was. When the second one fall, we all run to Stuyvesant High School. Tracy found it. The police found my Palm Pilot. And Tracy, see, it was mine. And said she know me. And she called. So I got it back.
In my case, I lost all my possessions. And then, I lost my mind. I gave everything to Maharaja. He was 16, in New York, not in India. We would meditate. The goal was to become egoless. So by giving away all your earthly possessions, you become egoless. There was this place, a store sort of, where you bring all your stuff. And God only knows what they did with them. And they gave me, like a skirt to wear. But there are still some things I'm sad I gave away. One was this little wooden tugboat that my mother gave to me, and her mother gave to her, and hers to hers, and I'm sure it had been in the family for generations. But that was a crazy time.
About the way you left and about the things you used to say. Said you had given me your heart, said we would never be apart. Now you call and ask to come on by. Said you left things behind and I could give you all your things, but why should I win you? You made me cry. Would you give my heart back to me?
So if you're missing the clothes you left by the bed, I gave them away. And those old books not gonna give it back.
I had some pretty amazing hallucinations while meditating. I remember one where this guy I was with, his head sort of turned into a flame and sort of going up, like elongated, like whoosh. And then a voice said, "If the face of God frightens you, don't look." Pretty far out stuff. But then I got into this car accident. I was lucky because, sometimes I drive around with my eyes closed. Because only the blind can see. Yada yada. But I got into this accident, went through a stop sign, and the accident was like it for me. I had done the sex, the drugs, rock and roll, and Europe, and the anarchy, and now religion. Then I went back to school, met certain people, like my husband, and you get on a different track.
So if you're missing the sheets you bought when we met, I gave them away. The dog you left at the vet, I gave her away. You lied, so that's what you get. And if you've lost all your power to sleep at night, you've lost your belief things will be alright. You can't find your strength or your will to fight. Well, I've got all that too, and I'm not gonna give it back.
But back with the lost things. Sometimes with organized crime, we'll find a body that's missing something. Head, fingers, something. And a lot of times, that's a sign, a signal. We'll find a body in the fields or whatever without a head or hands. It's a signal. And a lot of times, now, I've got nothing against homosexuals or the gay community. But a lot of times in those cases, when a homosexual will kill another homosexual, the genitals will be missing. And that's a sign too. It's a signal. A woman in the building, her husband had died, and she's been dragging him around the apartment for weeks. Dragging him by his head. By his head.
Sure, I'll find lost things. Lost pets mostly. People will call and say, "I've lost Fluffy, can you help me find her?" I'm a people psychic as well as a pet psychic. I took a class back in the 80s at a community college. It was called Consciousness Frontiers. I trained myself. Anyone could do it. You can do it. You can. I used to be a stockbroker.
Where are you? Manhattan? Brooklyn? I only ask because, we deal with a lot of dysphobophobics in the village. I'm in Queens. Exit 23. Near the Long Island Expressway. The Long Island Expressway.
and she's dragged him around so much, his head pops off. And she doesn't know what to do. So she puts his head in a paper bag and puts it out front with the garbage. And the super finds it. It's crazy, right? You gotta laugh. You just need to laugh. But never in front of the family.
A couple weeks ago, I was talking to this horse. Just this great old horse. And I asked him how things were, and he said, well, it's been a tough year for rabbits. And I laughed and said, really? What do you mean? And he said, well, a lot of them have been dying. They go down by the river and drink the water, and it makes them sick. So I said, why don't you just tell the rabbits? And the horse said, well, you can't tell a rabbit anything. I love that.
Disposiophobics. You know, they collect things they find on the street, anything from cat hair to rocks. And it's all about emotional attachment, you know. They collect things they are attached to, you know, and they're not stupid, you know. They're not well, but they're not stupid. We get lots of lawyers and teachers. Lots of teachers. Lots of woman teachers. You know, I did a seminar once on the Learning Annex on how to rid your life of clutter forever. And I can't tell you how many teachers showed up. The people who showed up were of either two types. Either they were there so I could teach them how to file. I mean, literally, Don, how do I file? And I'm just like, this is not what this seminar is about. Sheesh. And I'm not going to show people how to fucking file, okay? Lots of teachers, though.
A friend of mine called me once. His brother had been out fishing on a lake, and the boat had returned, but his brother was gone. So he called to ask me what happened. And I said, your brother had a heart attack and fell over the side of the boat. So he wanted my help to find out where the body was. I was on the phone with him, and he was on a walkie-talkie communicating with the divers. And it was like I was actually seeing behind the eyes of the divers. I actually saw where the body was, but by the time the message had got through, the diver had turned and he didn't see it. And the dead brother was sending me little messages too. He said his son had almost made him a grandfather. And when I told his son that, he started to cry because it turned out that he had been seeing this girl and she had been pregnant and had gotten an abortion. And that is why they'd broken up. Oh, yeah. I work with the police too, usually murders and rape cases, but it is completely anonymous. They don't acknowledge that I work with them, and I don't want them to.
Have you heard of the Colombian necktie? Yeah. That's the one where they slit your throat and pull out your tongue from the hole. The Colombian drug lords do that. This one time, now this is a terrible thing. This one time we found this guy's family. They'd been killed by the Colombians. They killed his wife and raped her. Raped his 12-year-old daughter. And sodomized their 9-year-old boy. Slit their throats, pulled their tongues out, and hung them from a shower curtain rod. Now, shower curtain rods are flimsy things. And I'm thinking, I asked my superior officer, what the hell kind of shower curtain rod is it that you can hang up a whole family? I mean, you don't want to laugh, but sometimes you just need to. You know? It's either that or you know?
The worst case I've seen. Well, that depends because what are you talking about here? You know, the worst clutter, you know, the worst stench, you know, the worst roaches, you know, the most despicable person because, you know, a lot of these people are assholes. Serious assholes, you know, they yell and scream and treat you like crap, and I'm like, hey! You called me. You called me, okay? So you're about to get evicted, so don't yell at me. Okay, first I try love. Okay? First I try love, and then, if that doesn't work out, then I use my Nazi approach. My mix between the Russian and the Nazi approach. Yes. And, how do I do what I do? How do you do what you do, okay? How are you an actor? Come on, if someone says to you, how do you act? How do you act? What would you say? Come on. Now most of these people have no sense of time or reality. They've lost their touch with reality, to be honest. And I get them to come back to reality by, having them look at their watch. What can I do, Oh, I'm also trained in oh my god, I'm also trained in techniques in open-eyed hypnosis. I can hypnotize people while they're awake. Don't think of a big blue house and a green barn behind it. What did you just think of? What did you just think of? You couldn't help but think of all those things, right? I'm training techniques like that, yeah. Yes. What causes this? OCD? Depression? We all get depressed. I get depressed, you get depressed. Don't you? Don't you get depressed? Why are you an actor? So you get to act like you're happy 90% of the time?
Oh, this one man had this beautiful Chattahoochee leopard dog, and he wanted me to ask the dog what he really enjoyed. And the dog said, a hot poop on a cold day. Now, how am I supposed to tell this man that? Well, I guess, what else does a dog have to worry about?
Well, I hope that helps you out. Here, let me get that for you. No, it's on me. No, come on. I insist. Listen, life has been very good to me. If I can help out some young people, I will.
I don't have it, sir. I lost it. I lost my ID. I don't have my ID. I was just gonna get some cigarettes. But come on, man. I was just on my way to get some cigarettes. I was just gonna get some cigarettes. Come on, man. Come on. Don't do this to me. Oh, my. Don't do this to me. Sir, please don't do this to me. Sir, Michael Smith. Sir. Come on, man. Please don't do this to me, man. I don't have it, sir. I lost it. I lost it. I'm just gonna get some cigarettes. I'm staying at my girl's place around the corner. Please don't do this to me. If you don't shut the fuck up, not only are you going to fucking jail, you're also going to fucking Bellevue. Come on, please. I was just gonna get some cigarettes.
I want to live in Shangri-La without you. Above the mountains where the snow falls down. I want to sail away and find lost cities underneath the ocean floor. I want to live in Xanadu without you, with goop-like on so I can smoke my pipe and dream of you. I want to sail away and learn what sin is in Sodom and Gomorrah, imaginary cities that lie under the ocean. And did you say I seem so far away? Am I okay? Why couldn't I stay? My boat is sinking into the wide Sargasso Sea. This is my lost horizon. lost horizon. I'm gonna find and live it. I want to live in heaven without you, in hanging gardens where nobody talks the way you do. I want to sail away and find lost cities all full of Trojan horses, imaginary cities that lie under the ocean. And did you say I seem so far away? Am I okay? Why couldn't I stay? My boat is sinking into the wide, so I guess I'll see. This is my lost horizon. This is my lost horizon. This is my lost horizon.
So, I was living in Philbin. This was 1976. I just divorced my first wife, and I was incredibly depressed. Sleeping with anyone I could, and drinking, and doing drugs, and so. Alright, this is the bit. I woke up in this room in some college in Cambridge. I didn't know who I slept with or who was in the bed next to me. So I stumble out of bed and I get dressed and I start walking back to Philbin, which was about an hour's walk. It was the beginning of dawn, so the light, the sun had come up, and I remember thinking, there was a lamppost, and the thought I had, I remember what I wanted to say. The sun has come up, and the lamppost is still on. But when I got to the word lamp, I couldn't think of the word. The word was missing, but it wasn't like I had forgotten what it was. I'm not explaining this very well. Look, Trey, they didn't exist then, of course, but it was like my mind was a computer and the word had just been deleted. I was racing my mind trying to get the word out before it gets deleted from the other side. I was walking along the railroad and there was this big fence, and I'd think, well, that's a big... Or I'd look down and think, I can see my shoe. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like I'd never been told the word of it. Like I'd never been told the name of it before. But I knew what it was, what it did, just not what it was called. And by the end of the walk to Philbin, I'd lost all my words. I sat around the house with my friends, and I remember going about my normal, everyday business, eating and sleeping. But I wasn't talking. And later, when I woke up, my language had returned. Is that what you wanted? Good. All right, Trey. Good luck.
that the capital of the Congo was Kinshasa, and every other nation where friends of mine vacation. I managed to sketch, but now I'm all shook up. I'm a piece of wax, but now the imprint's lost. The works of Trollope, the periodic table, or when to buy men's suits or fashionable boots, the settings and the morals of each of Aesop's fables, all kinds of foreign fruits, or how to play the flute. Lately though I find that I'm not quite as able to come up with square roots or trivial pursuits. I managed to sketch, but now I'm all shook up. I'm a piece of wax, but now the imprint's lost. I can't remember the things that I was thinking, like when do chickens baste, or how a kiss should taste. Who was the president that came after Lincoln? My blackboard's been erased. My blackboard's been erased.
Because of my situation, I've lost everything that was valuable to me. Just remember, unless it's hanging off of you or nailed onto you, hold on to it, because everything goes. The hypocrisy of the people who would come to help, they would come in the morning and they'd say, "Oh, what a lovely blank, Mrs. Weller," and then it would be gone. There were so many people coming, I couldn't pin anything down on any one person. And I'm glad. I made a crocheted blanket. It took me weeks to make it because I'm sitting around all the time so I can do this. And it wasn't the kind with the circles. I hate those. And I went into the hospital and I thought to myself, I should put this away. Someone might take it. So I folded it up and I tucked it away in the closet. I remember exactly where I put it. And when I got out of the hospital, I left it there because I was scared someone still might want it. Someone still might take it. And when it was time to come here, it was gone. You have to defend yourself until the day you die. Until you just can't anymore, because no one else is going to do it for you. Because they'll take anything, not necessarily China, because who knows what to do with that anymore. Everyone lives in these one-bedroom apartments, nothing lasts. And the silver, they wouldn't know what to do with it, probably. They don't know beans about polishing it or using it or what to do with it. They should just buy it from the 5 and dime.
Well, first, let me start by saying that I put things places all the time, and I don't remember where I put them. And you have to talk slow. It's not just the volume of your voice, but you have to talk slow and clear. It's the speed I process the information at. Okay, that said, my mother had a very thin necklace. Not silver, not white gold, platinum, with 3 small diamonds all in a line. Mother didn't like jewelry. She thought people who wore a lot were. So she gave it to me. Well, I had jury duty downtown, and I was on the way there, and I was walking, and 3 boys were across the street from me, and they were laughing. I was 18 at the time, and they were laughing. So I reached in to make sure I was wearing a slip. women wore a slip under their dresses at the time, you see. So I reached in to make sure, and I walked, and a few minutes later I felt for the necklace, and it was gone. I must have snapped the chain. It was so thin. I don't remember if Mother was mad. You see, I always wanted Mother's approval. I always wanted Mother to like me, to love me. But she wasn't a very good person, and not a very good mother. And I blocked out all the bad things about her. I don't remember them. I only remember the good things. So I don't remember if Mother was mad, but if she was true to form, she really let me have it.
When I lost my keys, you told me the words of Plato, that our possessions are only shadows, echoes of fate. So the things that you lose, you never possessed. You're only remembering, only remembering, and all we see is stars falling from so far away. The things that we see are just memories of the things that used to be. So I know that you understand that nothing we have is real. We're just trying to get